Hello dear students, in this video we are going to see about how to connect our Java program with MySQL database. So for example, you consider we have a Java program here. This is our Java program. Now our Java program needs to be connected with a database. Here I have taken MySQL database. So if Java program want to connect to MySQL and the MySQL with Java program, they want to communicate with each other. So for example, if I say, if I want to declare a variable in Java, we'll say integer a equal to 10, and if it is a string, then we'll do a string s equal to hello something we will do. Same thing if you want to do in MySQL. For integer we'll use int, and for a string we use varchar. So the terminologies used here in Java as well as the MySQL is different. So if they want to understand each other, we want the intermediator, that is JDBC. So Java database connectivity, so which help to communicate with a Java program with the MySQL database. So both of them can interact with each other and communicate, and they can transfer the data with each other. So for this, to if a Java program want to connect to database, first we want to install this JDBC driver. Okay, so it's an application interface program to make us help us to interact with the database. So for that, what we have to do first is go to Google, and there you have to type MySQL. Okay, if you type MySQL, you have this link. You go there, and if you go here, go to downloads. Under downloads, you can see here MySQL community downloads. In that you go to MySQL installer for Windows, and in that you can you choose the second one this size, and then you download. It will take us to next page. So here it says no thanks, just start my download. So if you give this, your download will be get started. So you will get a file like this, MySQL installer community. You would just double click and install it. I have already installed. So when you install, you have to take up only three things. You have to install your server, workbench, and the shell. So MySQL server, MySQL workbench, and MySQL shell. So these three things you have to install, and then you go choose the path where you want to save it, and then you can keep on going and finish down installing as usual how you install a software. That's it. So after you install this, your database, this MySQL will be get installed. So MySQL help you to install your database. Okay. So once you install, you will get a window like this. So once you install, there itself it will ask for username and the password. You can give your username and password by usually we use root and root as password. It's up to you. You can give a username and password that you have to remember. So through that only we'll do the connection. So that is very important. So here it is when I ask already I have given username and password. So directly it is taking me to this window. And in this window, if you choose the schemas, it will go to a page like this. First thing is what you have to do. First, you are going to create a database. Under the database, you can create any number of tables. So to create a database, so just click this, create a new schema. It will ask you for a data name, database name. So the new scheme. So let us say as demo DB. Any name you want, you can give. So then after that, I go on to apply. So it will help us to, you can use the small letters, it is fine, that is what it's saying. Then finally finish it. So now you can see the demo DB database is created. After you create the database, here you can have several options. Generally, you know, in database, we have table, view, stored procedure, and functions. As of now, we are going to use table alone. So now we have to create a table. So right click on the table, it will give you create table. In the create table, you can give a name by which you want to create a table. So I want to create a table to store the student information. So I'm just giving a student. So after you give this, you have to say the columns you want. For example, in the student, I want to store the information about the register number of the student. Register of the students, you can give us an integer, or varchar means it's string. So register number will be unique, right? So I'll give it as a primary key, and it should not have a null value. If you want, always it should be unique. You can even keep that as well. And then next column name, I want to give the name of the student. It is a varchar. It should not be null. And then let us give the mark one of it. It is an integer. Go and select int here. And then it should not be null. Okay, that also I have given. And then the next column will give as, so here it is mark 1. Uh, so it is mark 2. Let us give mark 2 here. So that should be a integer and not null. And if you want some more, you can give it. So if you want a third mark, so here also mark 2. And the next one is mark 3. Like that, you can store any number and then give the data type of it. It is integer. So I just gave integer int here, and it should not be null. After you give the number of columns as required, you can then after you do it, you just finish it, go here and you click apply. So then click apply and finish it. So now if you see here, under table, your table student is created, and if you click this small icon, you can see your table with all the fields which we have given there. Register number, name, mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. If you want to add the CGP or anything, you can keep on adding the number of rows. Okay, now we can store only one data here. Let us say Peter, and sorry, the register number is an integer. We gave us integer, so first is register number. Let us give the name as Peter, and the mark is 100. The second mark is 99, and the third mark is 100. So similarly, you can keep on adding like this. The second register number, let us give us Joe's, and then the next mark is 99, 100, and then you can do as 98. So this is how we can able to create a database. Under the database, we create a table. If you want one more table, you can just right click again, create table, go there and again do the same procedure. As of now, I am stopping with only one table. So this is how we have to create a database. So I have installed MySQL database. In the MySQL database, I have created a data, created the database. Under that, I have created a table. If you want one more database, so related, for example, if I want to store all the table related to a student, I can create a separate database for. It's according to your need. You can create any number of database. Under the database, you can have any number of table which is required according to your application. So this is our MySQL database. So then next one, what we need is, as I show you here, we want a interface in between Java program and MySQL, right? So to do that, what we have to do is we have to install this JDBC driver. For that, you go to Google again. Just type google.com. So in that, what you have to type is MySQL JDBC. That is what the driver we want, right? JDBC driver jar download. So when you give this MySQL JDBC jar download, which is like an archive which contain all the necessary library files within it, go to the first link. And here you choose select operating system, right? Under that you select platform independent, and then download the second option. When you give download, it will come to this place. There you say don't, no thanks, just start download. When you click on this option, you will get a zip file like this. Okay, so when you double click on it, you can see all this file inside. So under which we want only this jar file, and I have all the necessary driver to communicate with database. So I just copy and paste it here, right? So this is what the jar file we require as an interface between our Java program and our database. Now just copy it, okay? Then come to our Eclipse. It's very easy. In Eclipse, what you have to do is, so this is the Java project wherein I'm going to code my program. So under that, just create a new folder, go and right click and go to folder. Just give a folder name. I have given as library, lib, then lib. So then you finish. So now you can see a folder is created. Just right click on it and paste the jar file. Now if you go and see, your jar file is ready, which is present inside it, right? Now we have to connect it. So for that, right click on it, go to build path and add to build path. So the path will be made. So just do again, right click on it, go to build path and add build path. So now the path, see it has actually created the libraries automatically folder created is now created. That's all we need to do. Now we can start coding. So first I have installed my database MySQL, then I have installed my JDBC driver, and then we just created the build path. One more thing I have just want to remind you is here in this, when you go here, after you install MySQL, you have to usually whenever you install your JDBC now, you have to set the path, right? So for that, what you have to do is you go to C program files. Under the program file, you go to MySQL. In the MySQL, go to server. Under that, go to bin, copy this path, and after you copying this path, go to environment variables. In the environment variables, in the advanced tab, go to environment variable and click on this path, and you can paste it here. I have already pasted this. You can just paste it. So already see I have pasted it. So I just, this is what, and then you can click OK and then click OK. Here also you can click OK. So this will help you to do path connection. If you want to confirm whether your MySQL is correctly executed, take your command prompt in, sorry, take your command prompt. In the command prompt, what you have to do is just type the code MySQL hyphen version. So if you give it, it will give you the version which you have installed. So that will help you to proper know that whether your MySQL is installed properly or not. That's it. Okay, so that's it. Now what we can do is, now we can start typing our code. So I hope you have followed it. I'll just give a quick glance on it. So first what you have to do is, first you have to install your database. So that is the first step. So first step is install your MySQL database. So then in that we saw how to set the path. So just copy the path of the bin, go to environmental variable, and then I showed how to paste it there. That's that. So the second one is this is install. What is the next thing? We want this driver. So I showed you go to Google and type MySQL JDBC and driver jar download. If you go, you will get that zip file. Under the zip file, you have to just take this. Uh, you have to just take the only this file and come to Eclipse and just create a folder. Under the folder, copy this and right click on it and then go to build path. I have already added, so I showed you add to build path. If you queue, it will connect everything. Now Pakka database is ready, our driver is ready. Now we are going to write a Java program and we are going to connect talk with our MySQL. Okay, let's do. So we have a main function, let it be. Now I'm going to write a separate class here. We'll give DB connection, database connection. Some class name I have given. Okay, now, here, what are the things we require is, if for example, whenever you want to log into any website or any application, generally we have to give the username, password, then you have to connect it, right? So for that, here for this class, I'm going to create some instance variable. First, I have to give what is the URL. URL means how to connect to our database. Okay, the path, where is my database? The path I have to give, because Java is a different application, MySQL is a different application. So I have to say where it is available. So the path I have to give. So to give the path, the logic is like MySQL. Okay, first you have to start with JDBC, that is what the driver, right? JDBC, then colon, MySQL, colon. After that, you have to give double slash localhost. For example, if I go, we go to home, so you can see this is what the thing I'm going to give localhost colon 3306. So that is the location where it is. So I have to go here. I have to give localhost colon 33 what is that? 3306. So I have to give 3306. So after that, I said when you log in, we have already created what the database. So the database which we created is here. I am going to use this database sample. Under the sample, I have already created a table called student, and this is what the table which I have there. I have two data registries there with register number 112 and 113. So let us use this. So my database name is sample, the table name is student. So here I have to give slash, then I have to say what is my database name. My database name is sample. So that's it. So this is what the connection string, the URL, the path where my database is. So it's ready. Now I have to give, so already I have showed you whenever you log in, initially it will ask username and password. Already I have logged in, right? So it's not asking once again. So first time, if you make remember my password, it will remember. You can just click and go. Otherwise, it will ask what is the username password. If you remember, I said that when you install itself, it is asked username and password. So that username and password, I am going to give here string username. So the username which I have given is root. Okay, and then I have to give the password as well. The password is also a string, so I'll just create a variable. The password also I have given as root. So that's it. So the username and the password is now ready. So now I'm going to show you how to read from the database, how to insert, update, delete in the database. So first, let me create a function. You can create a normal function also. You can create a static, let me create a static function, so we can just call it directly. Otherwise, you can create normal functions. Let us create a normal function. Void. I'm going to read a database, so we'll say read db, and then I'm going to do this. So first thing is already the path is given. Okay, I just stored the path only in a variable. Now I have to give a proper class name which help us to connect to the database. So what is a class name which help us to do connection is here in Java. Here we have a class name called connection. So connection, sorry, connection. So all the necessary classes, functions, all are present inside this package java.sql. So each time I want to separately give, right? So I just said I want all the classes, interfaces, everything from this SQL, right? So then connection, just give a reference. Then here we have a driver manager. So under the driver manager, there is a function called get connection. So this is the line you have to remember. We want to do the connection. So under the connection, we have interface call for connection. So under which we have driver manager, call the function get connection. There you have to pass all this URL. First thing is you have to secure the URL, and then I have to pass the username, and then I have to give the password. So then I have given all the three things which we want, just like it. Okay, so this will help us to do all the necessary things. And you might have learned in exception there are two types of exceptions. One is checked exception and the one is unchecked exception. Checked exceptions are the exception which is checked during the compile time itself. So here, database, no, sometimes the database may not be available. There's a high possibility of creating an exception. So whenever you create some of the classes and interface from this SQL, it will ask you to handle the exception. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the exception. Okay, so that's remove all this. So all this I'm going to throw it to the place where this function is called. So it will be thrown to the main function. There only I'm going to call this function. So this is the first thing you have to remember, connection. So the connection is now ready. So now using this connection, we are going to run all the queries. So the connection, in the connection we said where is the path, URL variable contain the path of my database, then I gave what is the username, then the password. So all the three data are passed to this. The next thing is, first let us give the query, okay. So first I am going to type the query in a variable, in a string variable q1. So what is the first query to read? You, if you know the database, the query to read table is select star from the database. In the sample database, if you remember, we have a table called student. So this student table I want to access. So I am going to say from student. So this is my query. So this query, this is a query database. No, everything if you want to do, we'll do queries. So this is the query to read a table. So the table is student name. So now we want to execute this query, right? So to execute this query, there are many methods. I'm going to teach you the simple method which can be used for insert, update, delete, everything. So you will not have any confusion. So just use this. There is a class called reports interface called report statement, and I'm going to create a variable for it. You know that for the interface we cannot create an object. So what I'm going to do, object. So that is why here also we use this connection function to get the connection. Here through this connection we are going to execute the query. So connection dot prepared statement, and we are going to give the query. Okay, that's it. So through the connection, I'm going to execute this query. So this query Q1 prepare statement help us to take this query there and execute the query. So if you see here in the database, so you can view all this query here. So it says select star from the database sample. We have a student table, and it will help us to execute and get this data, right? So that is why we gave the query, and the prepare statement help us to execute the query. Okay, after you execute the query, what we are expecting here, we are expecting this table to be read from the database, this table to be read from the database. So to store this table, we have result set. Okay, so the result set will help us to take the complete table and it will store it there. So in that, where we have the who executed our query, this PS. So PS dot execute query. That's it. So execute query. So here we gave the query to the prepared statement. It will help us to execute the query. So when through this prepared statement, I'm just calling a function called execute query. In the prepared statement itself, we have given the query which we have written here already. So this will help us to execute the query through the function execute query. So if it is a select statement, it is a execute query. If you want to do any updations, we have execute update. That's the only difference. So if you remember this thing, you can easily do it. So for reading, this is what the first do connection, then write the query and execute it. Okay, first let us see how to read it, and then the result set have the complete table. So what we are going to do is, if I in my table, if you see there are two rows, you can just do like this also. For example, I'll say system.out.println, and I will say here rs dot get, first one is a integer, right? Get int of the first one. It will help us to read the first thing, and which means first thing what is there in the table, that is register number. So for the next one, similarly, if I want, I will say next one is the name, so I'll have to say string name. The second column, this says the column, okay. And then similarly, the next one is integer, the mark I have, and then 2 marks, that is the third column. So the number here specifies the column. This is the third column. The fourth column is again an integer. So if I just give like this is 4. So if I run this program, let us run and see. If I want to call this function from the main, first thing is we have to create an object for this class. So first I am going to create the object equal to new object of the class. Okay. So using this object b dot read database will help us to connect. And if you remember here, we are throwing the exception, right? So who have to handle it? The place this function is called. Either include it inside a try catch. That is a good habit. How will you do? Just put a try, surround it with try, and put a catch here. Generally, you can throw exception class which can handle any type of exceptions occur here. That's it. So now the error is gone. Otherwise, if you find it difficult, what you can do here as well, it is good because the user doesn't know what is the exception. Otherwise, you make throws here exception. So this is also okay. So if you throw, it will throw to who have called this. Who have called this program? User only. So it will go back to the user and it will show this is what error. Sometimes they may not know what kind of error because the user of any application may be anyone who knows Java or who doesn't know Java, right? So it is better to put try catch and handle it. Otherwise, you throw it like this, whichever is okay. So now let us run this. So now if I run my program, it shows an exception. What does it show? SQL before start result set. So we'll see handle it. So here the reason for this is because of some SQL exception before statements of the result set, right? So what it actually is, for example, if you consider what does this result set contain? This result set will be written in a table. It will contain a table. According to us, what does our table contain? It contains the register number and the name, and then it contains the mark 1 and mark 2. So it returns as a complete table. So initially, where will be the control is, the control is like a cursor or you can say control. So initially the control will be in the first row where there is we have header only. We don't want a sub now. We want to move this cursor or the control to the next row. Then it will go one by one. Then we have to move the control to this to read the second row. Then like this, it should keep on going like this. So to do this, what we have to do is there is a function called next. So we to move this, we have to use this function rs. What is the object of this result set? The table is rs dot next. So if we give this next, what happened? The control will be moved from the first row to the second row, which means from here the control actually here is a control. Initially, it will come to this place. Now, if you run this program, you can see here the data are coming here. What is the data? So we read only one time, okay? So what is the data present here in our database is 112 Peter 9878. So 112 Peter 9878. So if you see in my database, I don't have only one row, I have more than one row. So what I have to do once again, I have to repeat all these things, right? So instead of, if whenever you want to repeat something, you know, we have control statement. So let us use a while loop here. And inside the while loop, I'm going to write everything. Okay, so now what happened? First time, the rs.next will take your cursor to the first second row where our data record starts. So it will bring here. Then it will read all the column by column. That is what we have written here. First is an integer, then second column, third column, fourth column. After that, again I'll move. If there is some record, it will go to the next row. Again, in that row, it will read the first column, second column, third column. Like that, it will keep on going. So let us print this as a table format itself. Okay, so it will be better, no? So instead of doing, I'll just say println. After print one single row, then we'll move the cursor to go to the next line. So now if I run this program, you will get something like this. It is again it's looking very close. Let us put /t, which means a tab space. So if there will be a space, right? So from here on, we'll give the space. So now if you read, you will get a good picture of your table. So here you can see, first we have the register number, then we have the name, then we have the mark 1, mark 2. So this is how we can able to read the data. So until if there is 5 rows, it will help us to read the 5 rows. So now you know how to read the data from the database. So the complete table is read here, right? So first do the connection, then get the query using report statement and execute the query using this function. So this will help us to take the query and execute in the database, and we'll get the result back and store it in the variable rs of result set, which have the complete table, and then we iterated to get all the rows of each and every, all the columns of each and every row. So that's it. So now let us do next thing, do some insert. We insert some records. So already if you see in our database, we have only two rows. Let us learn how to insert a value from this here itself, okay, from the code itself. So we'll name this function as insert db. It's a function. So here also we'll throw this exception. So always it's a checked exception, right? So we have to handle it always. I'm not going to handle it. Instead, I'm going to throw it out. Uh, curly braces. So I have to properly close this. This function is ending here, and this function is sending here. Okay, what is the first thing we have to do? First, we have to do the connection. So we'll give a variable for that. Here we have driver manager. Under the driver manager, we have a function called get connection. So in the get connection, we have to give all the details like URL, username, and also I have to give the password. Okay, so that's it. So we give all. Now what we have to do, now the connection is ready. Now we have to give the string, right? Query. So let us first store it. You can directly also give the query in this place also, but rather than typing here, that is why we separately wrote. Similarly, here also I'm going to write the query. What is the query? To insert something in the database is insert into. This is the syntax, okay, of the database. Insert into where I want to insert in the student table. To reach the database, I have already given the URL till the database sample. In the sample database, I have student table. Okay, so that is the importance of this. So insert into student. What are the values? Values. How many values I want? 4 values. So I am going to give 4 question mark. So to get 4 values. So what are the 4 values? I gave register number, name, as well as the mark 1 and mark 2. So the 4, for this 4 values, I give 4 question mark. So many other ways are also there, but this is easy, so I'm going to do in this way. So then what is the next thing you have to do is, so you can see in the previous one, after we wrote the query, we did the connection. After that, we use a prepared statement, right? Same thing only here also. You can easily remember prepared statement PS equal to, so through the connection object, through this connection object, we have to execute our query dot prepared statement, and the query is in Q1, so we have given it in with the statement with semicolon. After we take this query to the database, we have to execute it and get the data back, right? So to do that, what you have to do is, we have here, whenever you want to do any of the getting the table, we will use the function execute query. So here what we'll do is, here before we execute it, we have to say what are these 4 values, right? For that I have to say ps dot, I have to set it, right? I have to set the value. I'm not going to get it. Earlier, if you see here, I have used the function get it because we are going to get the data from the database. Now we are going to assign it. So I'm going to say set int. What are the 2 data I have to pass is, for the first question mark, what is the value? So for the first question mark, I'm going to give the register number as 114. Okay, so the first question mark is done. Okay, since it is an integer, I gave it as a string. Okay, the next one is name I have to use. So ps dot set, if it is a string, then I have to give us set string. In the set string, I have to give for the second question string, and we can give some name, right? We can give the name as John. Then I have to give 2 marks. So ps dot set integer, it is an integer. And for the third question mark, the marks I'm going to give is 100. Similarly, for the fourth one, set int In that, for the fourth question mark, the value I'm going to give is 98. So all the four, for the four question mark, I have given what is the data. Now we let us execute it. So how will we execute? PS dot execute update. Okay, execute update. That's it. So it is earlier for this we have to say whenever it is select statement you have to give execute query. So we'll get the complete table here. So what is this return is it say how many row got affected because of this statement. So we'll get number of rows. So it is an integer value. Then we can say if you don't receive it in a variable also not a problem. But let us get it. I'll say n rows is a string. I'll say n rows got updated. That's it. So now let us see whether this new values, new row 114 John 198 is executed or not. Okay. So what we are doing is we have already the object. First let us insert v dot insert. After insert, let us again read it and see whether it is installed or not. Okay, so let us run this program and see it is earlier on. Now after the execute, yeah, see here, one row got updated because we have inserted only one row, and this is what the data we inserted, right? 114 John 190. We'll go to the database also and let us check it. So if you go click here, you can see that row is also get inserted in the database as well. So that's it. Now next, after we insert, we will also learn how to update somewhere, which means for example, already for Peter the mark is given as 98 mark 1. Let us change the mark. So that is what updating it. So same thing, okay. So I will just take the same thing. Here I'm going to do for updation. So give the name of the function as update db. So same thing here for updating. What is the query? Let us learn that. So for updating, update which table? Student. And I have to say update student set. Which one we are going to set? Let us change the mark. Set mark 1 equal to question mark. For which data? For register number equal to 112. So we'll say Peter's register number is what? 112. For Peter, you change this 98 to some other mark. So that is what we are going to do. So this is the query you have to learn. Update or the table name. Set is a keyword. Then which one I want to set a new value? This one. If you want to set more than one also, you can do. For that, I'll do. First we'll set one and then we learn where register number is equal to this. So again, this is the same. This is also same. Now, how many question marks are there? One question mark. This also you can give in runtime. So why I am doing question mark is for here I am giving static values, right? Because everything here I guess the good way to do this is getting the input from the user and that dynamic value you can insert. So that is the good practice. So that is why I'm giving here question mark. Then what you can do, you can get all this value from the user using a scanner class, anything you can get and fill the value here. Okay. And so here we have only two question mark. So we want only two things. So first is the integer. So for the integer, what mark we will give? 100 mark. Okay. We give 100 marks and that is a mark one. And then next one is we have to give the register number. So register number is also an integer. So we give the register number, second question mark. And for which register number I have to change? 112. So that's it. Here also we are going to execute it. Same thing only. It will return how many rows got updated because of this. And we are going to print how many rows are get updated. Okay, so now we will call the function update and then let us read it. So now if you see in our database, for Peter earlier it is 98 and 78. Now let us execute this and see. So I'm going to execute it. Now you can see for Peter earlier the mark was different. You can, what is the mark? The mark is 98. Now it is changed to 100. So that is what we gave here, right? So it's got updated. So this is called as update. And here also, if you go here and if you check, the Peter mark is now updated to 100. So this is how we can do updation. Okay. So let me tell you how to do for more than one value at a time. So if you want to do that, what you have to do is in the query, just give a comma, and I have to update the mark to as well. So for that also, I just say M2. What is M2? This all should be the exact name of this column name. Okay, you should not give something. This is what the exact name you have to give. So that is second one. So what is the change we have to do here? Earlier, this one represent the first mark. Now I have to say the second one, right? So I'll say PS dot, it is an integer, so I have to set integer, the second question mark. Further, let us give the value as 50. Okay, earlier if you see in the database, the mark is 78. So let us change to 50 and this becomes the third question mark. So what is the third question mark here? It is a register number. So we'll do the same thing for the Peter itself. So now we'll execute the same thing. And if you execute now, you can see the mark is, we gave first mark is updated to 100, second one is to 50. And here in the database, earlier it was 7800. Now after we do, it also got updated. Likewise, you can update more than one value also, and but we have to say to whom I have to do. So that is why we have given where and to this register number. So it is better to uniquely represent it. If you want to say, if you say the name as name, and you can also give where name equal to John. Sometimes two John may be there, so it will be get updated for both the John. So it may lead to confusion. So register number can be uniquely identifying the person. So I give register number here. It's depending upon your application we can do. The last thing I'm going to show you is to do the deleting a record from the database. So let us change the same thing to delete. All the things are same. So here the query may change, right? So for that, the query is delete from which table you want to delete? From the student table where, so condition you have to give where uh, register number. We will delete by register number. So where register number is equal to question mark. This we'll give later. The all the other things. So here we have only one question mark. We are going to delete the record 114. Okay, 114. So now all the other things are exactly same. So here it also say how many row got updated. So here we are going to delete 114. Earlier if you see 114 is there. So the John record is already there. We are going to delete it. So let us run it. So here instead of update, we are going to call the function delete. And then we are going to run it. So now if you see how many row got updated is one row, and you can see 114 got deleted. And if you go to the database also, you can see 114 is now not there, it got deleted. So this is how we can able to create, connect to the database and do see all the values in the table. Here we inserted a row, here we updated a row, here we deleted a row. So these are the important functionality we can do with the database. Hope you have understood it. Thank you, ma. God bless you.